sensation on social media, and it may have been the case that there were more cameras following him as he finished on Columbus Drive last night than were following the winner, Dennis Cometto, and he set a...
The last person to cross the Chicago Marathon finish line, maybe it was inspiring. It took a man from Venezuela nearly 17 hours, but he completed the course. He's living with muscular dystrophy and has a message for all of us. Maybe 7 John Garcia live with the story, John.
Michael Melamad's inspiring story it has been a sensation on social media, and it may have been the case that there were more cameras following him as he finished on Columbus Drive last night than were following the winner, Dennis Cometto, and he set a new course record. But regardless, all of the finishers are basking in the glow of their achievement tonight. When Michael Melamed was born, nearly strangled by his umbilical cord, doctors in Venezuela gave him a week to live. Now 38 and living with muscular dystrophy, he's devoted most of his life to trying to inspire others, which is why he runs marathons. He finished early this morning in a time of 16 hours, 46 minutes, nearly 15 hours after the winner.
We have a dream that is more important than the pain.
Nearly 40,000 Chicago Marathon finishers are basking in the victory glow tonight and getting their finisher medals engraved with their time and place tonight. Some are getting a little help with their sore muscles with a professional massage. Others actually going for another run. Most are reflecting on the support they got along the way.
I've watched it for years and I've always wanted to do it, so yeah, this town goes crazy for it. It's awesome.
It's like they're cheering you on.
Okay, so from his like experience and what he did and what he suffers from, this we started talking about a question, and we started thinking, well, what could we think about that has to do with your physical or your mental abilities, and what can limit, influence, or determine it? So we came up with the question: in what ways does the biological constitution of a living organism determine, limit, or influence its perception?
So in other words, you can just say, how do things in your life that you go through and how the way you're genetically made affect your human life and your human body. So then we got into like our title, Mind Over Matter, because it's really what it is, like the emotional drive versus what your body can physically do. So we just had a little picture. So your mind like the emotions behind it and how it affects you, and then your matter is your tissue and your veins and your physical body. So this, like, from that we took from your mind, you have your 7 universal emotions. Anger, which is the man in black and white picture. Fear is the woman with kind of the scared looking eyes. Contempt is the woman playing with her hair. Disgust is the 2 old women with the hats. Surprise is Charlie from Fun Talk Factory. Joy is the baby, and sadness is the older woman. And it kind of shows you how it plays across different people and different age groups, really. So it really truly is universal. And we connected these to the feelings that you can get feelings and emotions that you have when that could motivate you to do something. So we also noted that only 2 of these, surprise and joy, are kind of more positive emotions. So the other 5 are negative, which kind of can tell you something about how like our brain and our emotions work, that mostly negative emotions can influence us more or impact us more, but also positive emotions do give you a little boost too.
So with this talking about the emotions, we went into senses. So we have 5 senses, and we'd like you guys to rate them based on what you think.
hearing, touch, smell, and then taste.
So,
I suppose. Sight, hearing, smell, touch, and taste.
we ranked it, and we did this collaboratively, and we put sight and hearing first because we thought those were most important. Because when you don't have that, I feel like you're more, when you don't have your sight or your hearing, you're like more closed off, but it does strengthen your other senses, but in a way, like they're just the most important ones because the first thing you like, when you wake up, you open your eyes and you see, or you hear. You don't taste when you wake up. I mean, you can touch your pillow, but you don't really smell your pillow either. You're seeing and you're hearing. It's like when babies, when they're growing, like the first thing, they open their eyes and then they hear. So I just think it's interesting.
Yeah, and also that like throughout the animal kingdom as well as just like humans, the first thing though a lot of us are like a lot of animals as well as us we can't really see well or we're blind when we're babies. But we have really good hearing for some animals or we like use other senses to be able to adapt. For example, puppies they hear very well and they can smell though their sight isn't there. So they have this equilibrium between their like their hearing and their smell, but then their sight becomes a strong sense as well.
And most of you guys put or ranked sight and hearing in the top 3 section. Also, we decided to focus on sense perception because it's a main part of your human body when you're going through life.
So we going into the determining factors that affect your biological constitutions, your mind, and your matter. So the natural sciences, like biology, are going to be the primary means by which you perceive the world from birth. There's a study that said that from when you hit the age of 4 to through adulthood, so as we said, we're focusing on being born with sight and hearing. So if you're born blind or deaf, it's a determining factor in how a person's sense perception is going to affect their lives and how it's going to affect the way they can live. So when you lose a sense, it can hinder your ability, but it can also enhance others because as like for example, we have Helen Keller, who was born blind and deaf, and during the time, and women especially were they were seen as not capable of doing much and many things, but she was able to invent Braille, and she was able to do incredible things. And then Einstein, who was not though he worked with math and with incredible science and mathematician, he was actually dyslexic. So a lot of people when you think of someone who may be dyslexic is someone who can't, maybe necessarily put numbers together or able to mix them up. But that can actually hinder them and actually make him if it was able to enhance the way he wanted to work, so maybe he could drive. There are some cases though where society deems that someone cannot physically or mentally do something, which could then actually increase the person's wanting to do something and change the way people see them. So our counterpoints to this, so if deafness is deafness restricted to one's ears, or can one hear through vibrations? So Beethoven is one of these cases where he was deaf but able to write incredible symphonies using a piano.
And then I found a thing called Soundbite, where it's a device that locks into your jaw, and you also have a hearing aid attached to it, and you hear through vibrations. And it works 2 ways. It goes in your ear, and you feel the vibration in your jaw, or you feel a vibration in your jaw from like sound waves hitting your face, and you hear it in your ear. So it kind of works both ways, and it's really cool. But it was just interesting that like you can hear through other ways besides like it's not touch, it's not smell, it's not taste, but you're still hearing, but it's not really a sense. It's kind of the anatomy of your body using its abilities to be able to transfer that into sound through vibrations.
So also, is being deaf or blind actually an advantage because it can cause your other senses to be hyperactivated? So if you're blind, is your hearing going to be increased, so it actually makes you more aware? Or if you can't smell, is your that's connected to your taste. Never. If you're deaf though, is your eyesight going to be better because you can't hear something? So can you actually sense or have more peripheral abilities than other people? So in conclusion, senses are determining factors in perceiving the world. They're the physiological way to perform actions and you react to stimuli. Sense perception is going to be the most important aspect in the human body and the will to preserve the human existence. So the most necessary function for humans to be able to exist, to be able to live long lives and survive through the beginning of human Homo sapien life to now. But with this, we wanted to say, but if you are born blind or deaf, that's different than becoming blind or deaf, because it doesn't determine the way you view your perception or your life, but it actually influences or limits one's perception.
And that was limiting factors. So this includes the human sciences, your experiences, your lifestyle, which includes epigenetics, and accidents that may occur in your life.
So epigenetics is going to be the way you live. So if, for example, if you had two twins that were separated at birth, one that went to go live in Europe, one that went to live in America, due to the food they may eat, the environment they may be living in, the household, all of those are influential and limiting factors to how someone is going to actually live and become. So one may develop depression because something happened in their life, or they may have some sort of health problem because they lived in a society that increased or decreased the amount of exercise they were supposed to get because it's not the way people live.
So these factors can, but do not necessarily limit a person's biological constitution. So we found a radio lab called Seeing in the Dark, and it's two men talking about their experiences with their life and how they both became blind. John was blind over time due to cataracts, and Zoltan had acid exposure on his face, and it destroyed kind of his voice and his eyesight. And Zoltan's the first person to speak.
The kingdom, the othermost straight.
I was just explaining to Ms. Cook that's a podcast.
I know what
Ilya, we work through the very radical time differences, and we brought them together.
Can you hear me?
Well,
Yes, I can hear you. We've done it. Hooray!
yes, wow. Okay.
Good. So, here's what I'd like to do. Zoltan, can you just describe, since you're sitting there with your wife, what you know about her face?
Well, this is not a problem at all. I've known her for, 40, 50 years now, and just through the touch, it is very, very easy to reconstruct her mouth and her turned-up nose and smile and her curly hair and ears. It's like a living image.
But tell me, when was the last time you actually saw the face with your eyes?
I never saw her face with my eyes.
Never?
Never, no. I met her only about 5, 6 years after I lost my sight.
I see.
But this doesn't matter, John. This doesn't matter at all. The reconstruction is so vivid for me. I actually see it.
I'm just lost for words. Zoltan, tell me, are you totally blind?
Yes.
No light sensation?
None whatsoever.
Your wife's eyes, what colour are they?
Brown.
Is that...
Slightly flecked with little yellow spots in it. They are also large, expressive.
She tells you their eyes are expressive.
No, John. There's more to it than that. I have years and years and years worth of experience, and other people's responses get all factored into the construction of a complex image.
But you cannot actually literally see her. You can only imagine that you can see her. So why does it matter?
because emotionally we do not react and cannot react properly to things that we cannot visualize. The whole
So, Rolf was talking in that, and John was kind of like getting into a counseling. But at the end, he said, like, emotionally, I can create my life. I can create her through the emotions I feel. And he also said that he relies more on touch, so he can feel her face and construct that based on how he imagines it to be. And John's like, no, like, that's not how she is. Like, she told you that. He's like, no, it's what I imagine. Like, he's using his emotional connection with his wife to create an image of her. So the supporting example to that becoming blind sometime in your life is a limiting factor is John, because he wants to honor the truth of sight. So he refuses to imagine things that could possibly exist. He refuses to imagine the way things look. He just wants to either not see it at all, or possibly, like, this is something I think that might possibly he does, is he sees things exactly the way he saw them when he could see. But that's just my opinion. But he says, like, he just doesn't visualize anything at all inside his mind, I guess you could say. So he refuses to portray people in images and scenes, and he just forgets everything. Like, he doesn't want to see because he wants to honor the truth of how it was and how it really truly looks as someone else who can see, which is also interesting because we all see things differently. And then the counterclaim to that is Zoltan, because he thrives using his past experiences and, like, his other senses and his emotional attachments to influence the way he views the world. He says, I cannot see the world anymore, but can certainly imagine the world. And I think that's really interesting because he can see the world in a different way because he relies on other senses. And then we just found that picture because I kind of just searched up, like, blind artists, because I think it's really interesting how they visualize and paint things, but they can't see. So, like, there's a musical instrument, a horn of some sort, and musical notes and someone dancing, and they can't see what they're doing. So I think it's really just kind of, it's really beautiful to see that.
Yeah, and Zoltan, in the rest of the podcast, he actually explains in the beginning that his father was an artist, and he would paint vivid images of what he would see outdoors and in his life. And Zoltan did that when he was younger. So when he became blind, he couldn't actually see anything. Instead of just imagining a table as we may see it, he would paint it, and he would use his past experiences, his father, the painting, and all that he experienced as the way to portray. So he would just see an image of a table, he would actually paint it. So it's use the colors he would want, and it's different.
So our, like, interactive questions. Are you similar to Zoltan in any way? And how can, but also at the same time, how can we be fooled by our vision or our ability to see reality? Someone want to answer? It's fun.
I suppose, since I'm an artist, I'm similar because I do like to paint sort of my own way of, like, a table. I guess then I make my own table versus someone else's table. But then at the same time, like, we can be fooled by our ability to see reality, like optical illusions. So you can, like, paint things that couldn't be possible. Like, do the squares. Which is flowers. Yeah. Which is yes, Escher. But it's not possible in real life to have that. But it's possible in a painting, and it looks real.
Yeah, and also we thought about Plato's cave, how it's kind of like being born blind or deaf, is you only know that. It's like if you were in a cave for the, if you were, like, stuck there and all you knew was this person that came in and out and you didn't know the outside world. But once you are, literally people who are deaf and then can, with operations or with hearing aids, can become, begin to hear, it changes their world. And if you ever watch videos of people that can hear for the first time, it's pretty extraordinary because they have emotional reactions that show that it's something so new to them, something like a child that discovers a new toy or something fascinating, or an animal, for example, and the look on their face is like, it's surprise, it's emotion, it's like, just joy. And that's what people that change But then if you're shown only one side of the world and you don't know the rest, it changes and limits the way you view.
For me, in some ways I am similar to Zoltan, because if someone's describing it to me or I don't quite understand something, I begin to visualize it abstractly. I'm a really abstract thinker. So it kind of helps me when I don't understand math concepts or something in physics class to like visualize it and see how I can fit it into my own interpretation. That's kind of what he's doing here. But at the same time, you can be fooled by that because if you only remember it that one way, you might not remember the formula that goes with it or the quote.